In this video, I'll be showing you the skeletal system of the turtle, and the skeletal system is divided into three. We have the skull, which is what I'm showing you right now, and at the base of the skull, down to the tail, is the exoskeleton, and then on the side you have the appendages, which are the forelimbs and the hind limbs that are attaching to the exoskeleton. Now, if we go back to the skull is made up of different bones that are fused together through the suture joints, and these bones perform different functions, most especially in protecting the brain from damages, and then they also provide cushion for the brain. One of the prominent bone that you find in the skull is the mandible, or the lower jaw, and they use this for mastication in terms of when they're eating. And one very important thing that you need to note in turtles is that they don't have the teeth, so they have these conius plates that they use to bite food materials. Then apart from that, we also have this bone here that is called the hyoid bone, and it's actually helps to support the tongue and the glottis, and it also provides attachment for the throat muscles. So most for the exoskeleton, we'll be looking at the different structures that you can find there. So most body of the turtle is enclosed in an encasement, and on the dorsal part of that is what we call the carapace. So this is the carapace, and the carapace has these keratinous scutes, and if you look at these, they are lined, and here we have what we call the vertebral scutes, and on the side you could see we have the lateral scutes. So you have the lateral scutes here, the lateral scutes here, and towards the margin you have what we call the marginal scutes. So these are like the marginal scutes, and these are found on the carapace, which provide like a protective shell that the turtle is able to put its hand in and protect itself from predators. Now, if you look at the ventral side of the encasement, you see what we call the plastrum, and the plastrum also protects the ribs and some other structures. So when you remove this plastrum, as you can see in here, you can see that you will be able to see the ribs and the vertebral column, which is attached to the carapace inside. So but you need to remove the plastrum to be able to see those structures. Now let's talk about the vertebral column. So like I said before, from the base of the head down to the tail, you have these bony structures that form the vertebral column, and they are divided into segments. So the first one is what we call the cervical vertebrae, and it's usually 8 in numbers. 7 of them are mobile, so it allows the turtle to be able to move its head into the carapace in case they want to hide from predators. Then the last one, which is the 8th one, is kind of attached to the carapace, so that means it's fused to the carapace and not mobile like the first 7. Then apart from that, we have 10 thoracic vertebrae, which runs from the base of the neck towards the abdominal area. So you have the thoracic vertebrae, and then it's 10 in numbers, and it has the ribs that are attached to it. Then towards the pelvic area, you have what we call the sacral vertebrae. We have 2 to 3 in there, 2 to 3 in numbers, and then you have the pelvic girdle attached to it. Then apart from that, you have the tail end, which is around this area, and the bony structure that forms the tail is the caudal vertebrae. It's about 12 or more in numbers, and they form the vertebrae there. So those are the vertebral column. So one thing that you need to note is that we didn't mention the lumbar in the turtle, which will be different from when we start to talk about humans and the cat. They have the lumbar vertebrae. So the pectoral girdle is found around the thoracic area of the turtle, and it's divided. It's made up of two bones. We have the coracoid here, and then it usually extends medially towards the plastrum here. Then we have on the side, we have the scapula, which extends towards the carapace. You can see that it attaches to the carapace at the back here. And the scapula has a process, what we call the acromion process, which is the one that you have around there. Now, the fusion of the coracoid and the scapula is what forms the glenoid fossa, and that's where the head of the humerus fits in to form the ball and socket joint that you have around here. And then you have this area. This is what we call, this bone is called the humerus, which forms the first part of the appendages, the forelimbs. Then attached to the humerus is what we call the ulnar here, and then we have the radius here. Now, when you go distally from there, you have the metacarpal bones that are located around here, and then apart from the metacarpal bones, you have the carpal bones, and then you have the phalanges, which are what you can see around there. So these are what forms the pectoral girdle. So talking about the pelvic girdle, it's made up of three bones. We have the pubis here, you have the ischium here, and then you have the ilium, which is located at the back, and these bones are fused together to form the acetabulum, which fits the head of the femur. Then another thing you need to identify is what we call this area here, which is called the thyroid fenestra. In humans or in cat, this forms what we call the obturacial foramen. So you need to take note of the difference between them. Now, this, what you're looking at right now, is the femur, which is one of the longest bone that you have for the appendages. Then attached to the femur is what we call the tibia, which is what you have here, and this is the fibula here. Now, next to that is what we call the tarsal bone, and then you have the metatarsal bones, and then you have the phalanges. And they use this, so all of these bones are usually, they have muscles that are attached to them and helps them to move.